Peace, love, and love, family. Welcome to In God We Trust Academy podcast tonight. Hope everybody's having a great and beautiful night. I know I am. Let y'all get in here, man. Like, share, and subscribe with us, family. All right, Ian, what's up? What's going on, Bernie? My name Cupcake joined. What's up, Cupcake? Yeah, what's going on with y'all beautiful people tonight, man? Always a good thing to be able to do this and share information with you guys and just enjoy. What's up, Ja? Bro says he's at home in Massachusetts. I've never been there before in Massachusetts. I've never been there. Would like to go one day, maybe. Who knows? End up in old Boston somewhere or something. Man, but what's up though, man? Where y'all tuning in from tonight though? Everybody, let me know. Drop some ones, man. We've been dropping sauce on here pretty much all of this month so far. Guys, man, y'all ready to get back to work sessions, ain't y'all? I know y'all is. We're going to get back to work sessions. The bougie one. I know that's real. Pittsburgh, what's up? I ain't never been to Pittsburgh either. I got to come there. What's up, Mike? Commando. What you got going on, Chief? You been running from that Call of Duty. You been running from that COD, dog. I know you have. Miss Carter, how you doing? How you doing? Yeah, man, I definitely need to come there. I've never been to Pittsburgh, and I need that experience there to see what that's like. For sure. I'll be out there screaming black and yellow, man. Straight up. All right, man. So tonight we're going to be talking about due process is the key, family, because it is, and due process is in all things, right? And I just really want to keep expressing this to you so you can understand the situation that you are in right now. So if I kind of sound repetitive to some of you guys, well, repetition is always going to help you. Time plus consistency equals growth. So you'll just start growing more and more into the knowledge and just even being around the terminology and language that we are speaking. Okay. So, but for the most part, guys, it's just really locking in on yourself. This is a spiritual journey. I'm going to always say that to everybody. This is a spiritual journey. All right. It really is. It takes time. It takes for you to get to know yourself, be aware of self, first and foremost, to know exactly who and what you are and your connection in this realm. Okay? Our adversary is the flesh and those who choose to live within the flesh and exercise in all throughout the carnal ways of the flesh. That is the truth. But those who live in the spirit shall operate according to the spirit and the spirit of law. Right? And then you will always be able to conquer the flesh and you will reign in the spirit as we all should be able to. Right? Now, I say we, if you're not, then hey, maybe you should be thankful that you're not. But we are here in what they call the United States of America. And it's been so much that has happened on this soil known as the Americas, modernly known today. And it's been a lot of lies told about what has happened on this soil. As we know, a lot of knowledge, a lot of history, a lot of books and things were burned to erase people, to erase certain parts of history that has happened and taken place because they were preparing to literally trick the whole entire world and literally write history in a way that it shapes in their favor to make you think that certain things is supposed to operate a certain kind of way. And a lot of you guys think that certain laws that exist, y'all act like that there is no higher jurisdiction than that of what man has created. There is always the spiritual jurisdiction. And what I mean by that is everyone is bound to cause and effect. I don't care who you are bound to cause and effect, which actually exists in the spiritual realm. That's why we say you reap what you sow, you know, those things of that nature, right? So if you look at it from that perspective as well and start truly understanding what has taken place with us here on this American soil, the people, now we must be honest about who the people are and how this came to be for what today is. And we're going to get into due process, but we got to start with you needing to know on need to know basis of who you are first. All right. So to know who you are as the people, well, first of all, we have to firstly admit that the people only consisted of, well, in the United States Constitution, were literally of the 13 colonies. It had nothing to do with what you call a Negro, African American today. There are cases that even goes back and talks about this. But it didn't even have nothing to do with certain forms of what they say Native Americans. It literally was established for the 13 colonies. And the day that they did that, it literally was a form of declaring war against also Great Britain, whom they were separating themselves from. It's also spoken about in the Declaration of Independence, right? So now everybody has to understand their role and who they are when it comes to this Constitution, because at first the states would not. Okay, 1865 comes along and they're slaves free and all of this old good old stuff, right? And well, the states were like, we ain't accepting these Negroes. Not up in here, we're not. No, not at all. We're not doing that. So, in order to stop this, the federal government said, well, we're going to create the U.S. citizen. We're going to accept those who are who have been freed from slavery and those who are the descendants of the slaves, so to say. We're going to accept them under the term of U.S. citizen, and that they will be citizens of the United States and citizens of the state they reside in. Okay, but even then, at certain points, there was wrote in as a 3/5 of a person. Those type of things. All right. So it would literally take up to three people, so to say, 3 to 4 people to equal one, right? How they would actually do it. We're gonna say black people, right? And so anyway, this was the establishment. They had all these form of black codes and through Virginia and all these other different places, right? So I'm just trying to help y'all guys understand that you was not considered the people at first. You were not a part of as being the people. That is one thing. Now, who you are in another sense, that's another story, but we'll get to that one day. But right now, it's just for everybody to see the overall picture. So anyway, the 14th Amendment citizen comes in, but the 14th Amendment citizen allowed them to declare presumptions. And this presumption was based upon, well, everybody. So they was like, okay, well, we can just assume that everybody's a U.S. citizen and not a state citizen, because it speaks about the citizens of the state in the Constitution, right? And who are nationals of the state, who own, which is those who own a permanent allegiance to the state by right of soil. That's one thing. So anyway, after they go into and they finally make all the states accept what they call African American, black people, Negro people into the actual states. Now they had to because the U.S. Constitution says so, and the Union states had to go into harmony along with that. So here we are under presumption. Now, they removed and abolished all of their codes that led to slavery or anything that led to accepting what you call the Negro, um, black African American, right? All those were pretty much abolished from every state. Well, when they were abolished, that allowed them to become also nationals of the state and considered to be one of the people of the state at the particular time. But it is under presumption that you are a African American or you are a 14th Amendment citizen, as well as everybody else, especially when they came into 1933, declared the form of bankruptcy. Then they created the Social Security Administration after that as well. And here we are playing a commercial game where they created a legal fiction for everybody. Everybody got a legal fiction. Got a little legal fiction about yourselves. So, yeah, you're carrying around a little legal fiction with you. Everywhere you go that you're going to do business, they want to do business with the legal fiction, not the living being. And that's because they are operating in a commercial standpoint here. And this brings everyone down to statutory law, to operate according fully to the law merchant and admiralty courts. Settings is what they want. Okay? So, and it's not a problem, guys. It's not a problem. It's cool. Let's just learn to play the game. Stop thinking that, oh, this has put us into bondage. They have made us slaves again. No. Okay? You just got to see exactly what's what and what has transpired and taken place. So, here's the thing. No matter how you want to look at it, it literally says that you have the same rights to the Constitution. It's everybody just needs to learn due process. And the ignorant of the people is this: we can ask for jury trials, but even if we do get a jury, does the freaking jury know the law? This is a problem. Does the jury even know the rule of law, due process of law? Does the jury understand the Constitution? Right? That's what we want to know. Do they know? Do you know the difference than when you're operating and dealing with a form of a inferior court or a court running strictly off statutory and legislative laws for its own municipal purposes, for profit and gain? And the thing is people don't know. So the very power that the people have, which is the impartial jury, we lose it based upon the jury, the people being freaking ignorant of the law. So is it always safe to have a jury trial? I mean, it's great to have it, but what happens when you got to deal with a jury that doesn't know the freaking law? They wouldn't understand how certain facts, evidence, the law, etc., would apply and whether to consider something. That's the reason why when you watch a lot of shows with lawyers, these lawyers play emotionally upon the jury's feelings instead of just knowing that there is no emotions, there's no feeling in law. There's none. It's just justice. Right? And the ones that deserves justice are those who are willing to carry the law, which is the people who are willing to assert their rights. So the thing is like, do we really understand the Constitution to the max to where we really want the remedy that we are seeking? Because the U.S. Constitution establishes an independent and impartial judiciary, okay, to ensure fairness and prevent abuse of power. Several constitutional provisions guarantee a fair judicial process. So, Article 3, Section 1 establish federal judiciary independence by stating judges shall hold their office during good behavior. We got the Fifth Amendment. It protects against deprivation of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, right? Well, the Sixth Amendment says you have a right to an impartial trial, an attorney, and a jury. All of that is part of the impartial judiciary system. But again, what good is it to have all of this if the people who are considered to be the jury, because that's where our power is. Our power is always going to be in our jury, and that's in the people who is aware of the law, because you're the one that literally determines whether somebody guilty or not guilty. That was the purpose of having the power of the people in the first place. That's what you guys got to understand. But it's kind of hard to do any of this stuff if the people are ignorant of the law. You make it harder than what it's supposed to be. Now, it's a good thing that we do have what you call an appellate court, which has to go by due process of law and facts, where everything kind of changes at if the jury was not freaking competent enough to understand the law. And it happens a lot more than you guys think. All right? That's the actual truth. So you also got the 14th Amendment, which says extends due process protections to state and local governments, preventing them from denying equal protection of the law. So the 14th Amendment, as much as we try to say it was used to create an extra citizen, but it was also used to bound the states. The 14th Amendment bound the states completely to the law, because now due process protections to state and local governments, preventing them from denying equal protection of the law. So that means all state and local governments now have to provide due process, regardless of who and what you are, right? So that means that if you go to one of these local governments, then that automatically means they have to provide you a right to a jury trial, impartial judiciary. If they don't, it's violation of due process of law, because due process protection was extended in the state and local governments. So that means that now certain things, like I keep saying about traffic tickets, if you go and you get a traffic ticket right now and, well, they are not going to be able to give you an impartial trial because they're going to have a bench trial. It's not going to have a jury, right? That's violation of due process just by itself. So that extends to the states, right? The doctrine of separation of powers ensures the judicial, legislative, and executive function remain independent. A judge must not have a financial or personal interest in the outcome of cases. Well, if that's the case, then child support is illegal. It's supposed to be an impartial judiciary in anything that has anything in any setting of a court that has something to do with liberties. I don't care if you say that's a family court. So it's liberties. Liberties is always protected in any freaking court. Due process is the law. Nothing can beat it. So if they create this particular court, a judge automatically has a private contract with the child support enforcement agency. So does the prosecutor, so does the sheriff, or any investigators, or any private corporations that might be involved in literally the case dealing with the individuals, the parties involved, for child support enforcement. So when you think about it and look at it from that perspective, now you have to see, well, they violate due process. Every child support right now is a violation of due process law. Simple. But the thing is if we had to go put this on trial right now, and we had to get a impartial jury, is the jury smart enough to know, or I'm going to say in the knowing to know, that it is also considered to be a violation of due process? So that would literally mean that all of those documents is considered void. We can literally sue because the officers of the court knew they had a actual contract and they were being paid. Same thing. Municipal court act as judge, prosecutor, and beneficiary. So if you got a municipal court, it's acting as a judge, it acts as the prosecutor, and it's the one that benefits. That's the city courts, right? So you got to think about the city writes the laws, the city enforces the law, and the city adjudicates the case. Municipal judges decide the cases favoring the city's financial insurance, right? Interest. They can do city ordinances or they can pick up the state legislative laws and also operate according to it. So if you look at that from that point, then the city benefits financially. Fines collected go directly into the city's budget, creating an unconstitutional incentive all day long. Due process violation of municipal courts, there's no fair trial. Defendants are often pressured into pleading guilty without full knowledge of their rights. Conflict of interest, the judge works for the same city that profits from convictions. How? It's not impartial, none whatsoever. But we don't know, so people just go in there, ignorantly pay for tickets, and literally, a court that violates everything the Constitution stands for. But here's the thing about that, though. What changes everything is because now you have to realize we also got a commercial realm. And in commerce, it's pretty much that, well, if you don't assert a right, then you agree. And they have the right to make presumptions. So if you don't assert your rights and you're silent on this, then you automatically consent to the proceedings that's happening to you. So those who fail to speak up and exercise their rights will surely lose them. And it's not even that you lost it, you just didn't act on it. Like you agree. So if you agree, equity does not aid a volunteer. You volunteered for this procedure, for everything to happen. Right? So you got to know. They denied jury trials. Many municipal court refused jury trials for minor infractions, violating the Sixth Amendment. Because guess what? If municipal courts give you a traffic ticket and they literally say that, hey, you ask what is the nature of this court, and they say criminal. Well, all criminal prosecution has the right shall. That means you have the right, and it's extended to local courts through the 14th Amendment. So that means that if you request it, you demand it, they have to have it. And if they don't have the jurisdiction to give it, then you have to ask for the case to be dismissed because the court does not have the jurisdiction. And if it continues with its procedures, then it's going to cause irreparable harm against your rights. They don't want to do that. We go to a higher court. Petition for prohibition. But all of this is what the people have to know. We can't get mad because stuff happens and you're not aware of the law. And why participate? Why be in a state? Why do stuff? Like I see a lot of y'all so ready to move to another country, bro. You don't even know the laws in this country. I doubt you want to go anywhere else. Because you ain't going to study the laws there. You're not going to pick them up. You might try to do something and live according to how you've been living over here, and then your ass end up in jail. That has happened to a lot of people, literally. Celebrities too. They go over there thinking they in America, can do certain things, and certain countries you can't even smoke a cigarette in, bro. Yo, you going to jail. So I'm just telling you, you might want to make sure you learn your own laws over here first before you try to go anywhere else thinking that it's going to be different or easier for you, because it's not, right? And that's what we have to know. It happens. So due process is very important. The Supreme Court rulings have determined that judges cannot have a financial stake in case they decide. So Toomey versus Ohio, a judge cannot receive financial benefits from court rulings. That's literally every freaking child support case and traffic infractions in certain courts. Municipal violations, city fund courts do fines violating due process. They do. Ward versus Village of Monroeville. It is unconstitutional for judges to oversee cases where court revenue benefits as well. So they can't make it like we already pay. It's already a salary there. Making and doing and getting paid, and this determines the reason why there's a 90% conviction rate in a lot of places. And it all goes back to the ignorance of the people. Harper versus Virginia Board of Elections. Government imposed financial burdens without due process are unconstitutional, right? So also city imposed excessive fines to extract revenue. That happens a lot. Okay. So why legislative law cannot override constitution? Simple, easy. Article 1, Section 10 literally says that the state cannot create any laws impairing the obligations of contract. Well, guys, what's the first contract? What's the first contract? Let me know. What is the first contract? Put it in the chat. What's the first contract? Article 1, Section 10 says the state cannot create any laws impairing the obligations of contract. First contract, for those of you that don't know, is the Constitution. So, and that's the U.S. Constitution and the state constitutions, right? Those things. All right. So now, once you know that, you have to understand the Constitution shall be the supreme law of the land. Okay. Now you have to understand municipal courts cannot create laws that contradict constitutional protections, nor can the legislative of the states. So any law repugnant to the Constitution is void. Marbury versus Madison. Local ordinances imposing unconstitutional fines should be challenged and overturned. Okay. So you got the legislation, city council passes ordinances that generate revenue. They do stuff like that and or exercising certain things that just don't truly apply. Because they can pass certain laws, guys, but it has to be in line. Has to be in line with the Constitution. But the thing is, though, you guys got to know your place. So if you don't know your place, then that's where everything goes wrong. If you don't know, and as the people, how can you scream and call yourself sovereign, as you guys say? We're the sovereign people. Well, the only thing that is sovereign is the law. The law is sovereign. Always. There's nobody above it. So we're going to consider it always to be sovereign. All right. The people who sit in these seats carries a form of sovereign authority because they are supposed to be operating. And the only way they carry a sovereign authority is if they are literally operating within the law. If they're not operating within the law, then they lose all immunities. There is no sovereign authority there for them. That's how it works. The only thing wrong with the people is you guys don't know the law. You sleep on it. You think everything that you do is on a daily basis is really for the norm. The thing is, a lot of stuff y'all do, you just ain't got caught yet. And when you get caught, you're going to understand that it was a crime. Same thing y'all realizing about P. Diddy right now. What he did was a crime. Transportation, right? Yeah, to engage in prostitution. Y'all be flying out people for money and all of that for sex. Next thing you know, you're in a crime because you didn't know the law. You thought it was just a norm thing to talk about and rap about like they do, right? And they're literally the whole time they're talking about engaging in prostitution. Yeah. So that's my point. So we need to be more informed about what the freak is going on and how to literally operate within the law. Number one, so we can have knowledgeable juries. Okay, if you're picked for a jury, because listen, some of the people they pick for a jury, I'd be like, bro, this dude don't know nothing about the law, not one single thing. Probably has broken the law in every single way, and y'all ain't caught him. But he got jury today, though. What? He got jury today? This person? This dude? Jury? For real? Yeah. He's supposed to know the law? Okay. Yeah, that's how it be. If you ever looked at some of the people that be sitting on the jury, you like, what? For real? I think everybody need to pass a test of knowing the law in some shape, form, or fashion in order to sit on a jury. Because it can literally harm a whole setting. But, hey, remember, the people in ignorance of the law is inexcusable. So that's one thing. But we just got to make sure that we still ask for these things. And it is certain ways that you can make sure somebody on the jury is not causing harm and stuff like that. So you really can't be hurt by anybody, but you have to be fully aware of what's going on. And the main thing for you to do is always preserve the record. For everyone that wants to know, it's really no status correction out here. The correction of status is the correction of the ignorance of the people, and you being more knowledgeable about law. Because the key is due process. Are there evil people? Yes, you can know all of this stuff and you can go do a lot, man. But there is nothing that's gonna stop people from being assholes, from violating you in certain ways. You will run into certain confrontations about stuff. It's just what it is, guys. It happens. And I've been there. I've been there. I know what it looks like, right? But we got to remember though, that due process of law, that's where it's at for you. And you need to know how to use it. You need to know how to use it, right? Because due process has to do with the rule of law, which also comes with the civil procedures. So read the civil procedures in your state, read the federal civil procedures, study your criminal procedures as well. Know them like the back of your hand. Other than that, everything else becomes pretty simple. Like I did something a while back. Individual was pulled over, had guns in the car, and basically pretty much was told that they were violating their probation because they had guns in the car. They was not supposed to be around them, a felony, right? And they were sent to jail. And so what we did was we created an affidavit, and then we also put in a motion to dismiss and or a motion of production. We sent all three just in case. But the reason why we did it was because, see, they have to prove willful intent. They can't say you can't be around. Like they can say a gun, they might call it a gun, they might call it a firearm, but you called it private property and your right to bear arm. It's not a firearm, it's your right to bear arm. And they have to prove to where it was not willful, that you had willful intent to go and cause harm. They couldn't prove willful intent that this individual was going to go cause harm with the firearm, because we said that it was his right to bear arms within his defense. So they have to prove it that it was not his right to bear arm in his own defense. And by them proving that, they would have to prove that he was going to go cause harm willfully, literally to go make war. They couldn't prove it. They had to dismiss it, right? Had to dismiss the whole entire case. And this was in Texas. So that's what I mean by asserting your right. It was no special documentations we had to do, file something in the county and do all of that. It was literally just to know due process of law. Because here's the thing, the people are going to know the law and know their rights and how to assert their right in the manner that they should. When you come in there looking like you not one of the people, then you come in there consenting to everything and looking like the U.S. citizen and a legal fiction, then you're going to be held down to every statutory code that you can think of. But when you walk in there and you know you the people and you know due process, you understand the Constitution, or overstand, as you guys say, and you know and operate with the Constitution, right? And then after your Constitution, you have to know the rules and procedures of the court. Know your rights, use the rules, because they are bound to everything of all court procedures, and they're bound to the Constitution. Right? Did he have to finish his probation sentence? No, he didn't have to. Yeah, he still had to go and finish his probation sentence, because there was some other stuff that he needed to do. But I just know he wasn't ready to represent it that way. But he got out, though. They didn't get to charge him with it. Charge him with the gun charge. They didn't get to do that. Right? But that's what matters, y'all. Like, and the thing is, I got all this stuff. I got everything y'all could possibly think of when it comes to this journey, as far as knowing how to having a trust, the having a nation, having this, like I didn't done it. I done it all. So, and I know how to represent myself with my nations, being plenty of cases by myself, and have done plenty of things for other people that don't even have nowhere near close to what I have. They don't got nothing. They don't even aware of it. It's just them knowing due process of law and me being able to explain it to them and make them stick to that subject and that subject only, and just go in there and win the case. And here's the thing: every case that they do is a malicious prosecution. Like if because here's the situation. The actual prosecutor is supposed to know if they can charge you before you even get in court, right? Like they supposed to know without a doubt they got enough evidence to literally prosecute you. They will never fail to prosecute. They can't fail to prosecute you because otherwise they was never supposed to bring it into court in the first place. And that is the reason why part of due process of law is that if you commit some form of a crime or whatever the case may be, you are to be immediately taken to the magistrate. So the magistrate can determine if they have enough evidence to prosecute you, and now they're going to charge you. Okay? Instead, they don't do that. They take you straight to jail. They lock you up. They process you with fingerprint, etc., right? And then they make you pay some type of bond, cash bond, sometimes just depends. And then you get out on your own cognizance, right? So that is totally against violation of due process of law. It does not work that way. And people think that's the normal freaking thing. And that's the craziest part. So they already violated due process from the beginning. Even if you got a warrant, if you request a warrant to be present on the scene and to see it and it is not shown to you, it does not mean it's on the computer. It has to be shown with a wet ink signature by the judge, stamped and sealed coming from the judge. It cannot be signed by the sheriff. It cannot be signed by a clerk. It has to happen literally according to the rules and procedures as it was stated. So, and a Fourth Amendment says basically, let's go read it. Let's go read it. Let's go read the Fourth Amendment so y'all can just know exactly what it says. Okay? So the Fourth Amendment says this for you guys: the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. That is what has to be on the warrant. So if they searching the place, it has to name the place to be searched. If they're looking for a person, that has to be on the warrant, literally signed, etc., and what needs to be seized. It has to be fully there. It has to be signed there. It has to be presented to you in the flesh. And if it's not, and you don't have the right to evaluate that warrant as you should, then it's a violation of due process of law. And even then, they're supposed to take you straight to the magistrate to make sure everything is valid as it should be, right? If that don't happen, you are under false imprisonment. Mm-hmm. That's a form of false imprisonment. Right then and there. Now, how do you exercise that? Well, if that ever happens to you, you need to literally, if they go and ask you, how do you plead? You say not guilty because of violation of due process of law. If your state still allows a plea of demurrer, then plead with a demurrer instead. Some states do, some states don't. Some states make you go and get it through the actual discovery. So if you have to plead not guilty is saying there's no subject matter here. So the court does not really have any form of jurisdiction because what their claim is false. All right. So, cause why? They violated due process of law. So now let's prove it. Motion of discovery. Now we want them to produce evidence of everything. Okay. So, motion of production. Now we're going to use our discovery tools. We can do interrogatories. We can put people on the bench. We can do depositions. We can do all kind of different stuff in our discovery tools to literally get the answer that we're seeking for because they violated the Fourth Amendment. That's part of due process of law. It's the key to everything that is going on, whether civil or criminal. That's it. Because due process means everything has to go according to the letter of the law, how it is written. All right. We don't need anybody to come and tell us or interpret a damn thing. Okay? We don't need nobody to interpret the Constitution. It does not need to be interpreted. Even the judge can't. It says what it says. So when it says the enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. So that means that just because it don't talk about or mention certain things in the Constitution does not mean that that has been taken from the people. It's still retained by the people. So to say it's retained by the people means that the people have to assert that right still. So that means like the right to travel. That's still a thing. But you have to understand what's the difference in what you're traveling up on. Are you traveling on the land or are you traveling on the highway? Well, we are the people and we are always traveling on land. The highway belongs to a government. The land belongs to God and his people. All right? I want you to think about that. The highway is fiction. Okay? The highway is fiction. The road is fiction. Land is what it all is. No matter how many times you pick up something, create some type of chemical, asphalt and concrete, etc., once you slap it on that land that's attached to the land, it belongs to the land, and it's called land. Right? If somebody drops, if some drop out I put it like this: when a plane drop out the sky and it land on the road, whatever, they say it landed, it crashed on the land. It don't say it crashed on the heart. No, it crashed on the land. It crashes. When you look up from the sky and flying an airplane, you don't say, "Hey, look down there at the." No, you should look at the land. That's what it is, right? That's exactly what it is. So I need everybody to start understanding that part, right? That is the Ninth Amendment. Now go to the 10th Amendment. The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution nor prohibited by it to the states are reserved to the state respectively or to the people. So it's reserved to the people. So the 9th and the 10th Amendment, that means that, see, in the Ninth Amendment, that actually goes all the way back to the Magna Carta, all the inalienable rights God gave you way before the Constitution. Any right that you had existed before the Constitution, you still have it. However, it's your choice to exercise, right? If you don't, it's over. That's the situation. If you don't, it's over, right? Drop some ones if y'all still with me. About to give y'all some discounts tonight since y'all stayed in tune with us. So in the 13th Amendment, we got neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as punishment for crime, whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. So listen, guys, this is just simple. For everybody out there, that if you are claiming that you are some type of aboriginal, indigenous, etc., and they're saying that, no, you can't be that, you're this. And that's when you hit them, well, hey, the 13th Amendment says neither slavery nor involuntary servitude. So if you're going to make me have to be something when I'm telling you I'm not, and I have the right to self-determination, blah, 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 well, that would include that you're trying to enslave me, put me in involuntary servitude. because I'm not volunteering myself to say that I'm a U.S. citizen. You refuse to recognize people for who they are in their cultural, national background. It's also a form of defamation of character because of your national origin and other things of that nature as well. I can go on and on about that, but you need to learn how to use that. But the 14th Amendment says this: all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. So, what they're doing here is they're stopping the states, okay? Because the states was out here still writing black codes and they was doing all kind of stuff because they did not want the Negroes to be a part of anything that was going on. So they had to come with the 14th Amendment. Now, they also said representatives shall be apportioned among the several states according to their respective numbers, counting the whole number of persons in each state. So now they made you count the whole number. Ain't no more 3/5 no more. All right? Yeah. Ain't no more of that. You got to count the whole number of persons in each state, excluding Indians not taxed. But when the right to vote to any election for the choice of electors for president, vice president of the United States, representative of Congress, the executive judicial office of a state, or the members of the legislature thereof, is denied to any of the male inhabitants of such states, being 21 years of age. Notice they said male. They didn't make, and they didn't specifically try to state a color in that. And they did that for a specific reason. But and citizens of the United States, or in any way abridged, except for participation in rebellion or other crime, the basis of representation therein shall be reduced in the proportion which the number of such male citizens shall bear to the whole number of male citizens 21 years of age in such state. So they're literally getting it all the way down. Okay? And they made sure that they created this so the states could stop doing what they was doing. So Section 4 of the 14th Amendment says the validity of the public debt of the United States authorized by law, including debts incurred for payment of pensions and bounties for service in suppressing insurrection or rebellion, shall not be questioned. But neither the United States nor any state shall assume or pay any debt or obligation incurred in aid of insurrection or in rebellion against the United States, or any claim for loss of emancipation of any slave, but all such debts, obligation, and claims shall be held illegal and void. So, when no more buying slaves out, they was free. Now, how do you exercise that? And this is the thing of what I like to say. We found ways to exclude or try to exclude the 14th Amendment. How do you find a way to use that in your favor? Let me ask y'all that. Let me ask you guys that. How do you find ways? Because it actually does work in your favor. Sometimes that what you think was bad actually turned out to be good for you. So that's my question to y'all. Drop it in the chat. Drop some ones. Let me know what y'all think. Tell me how, and I'll explain it to you. How can we use the 14th Amendment in your favor instead of trying to exclude it? Because I believe in embracing things and utilizing it for what it's for and the use of it. So let's see what y'all got to say. Chat. Anybody got something to say? Oh man, dude processor. Oh wait, dude processor. That's funny how you spelled that, but yeah. Sign using UCC one. That ain't telling me how to use this in your favor, though. See, y'all got to remember who's bound to the Constitution. Who's bound to the Constitution, guys? Beating the odds. What's up? But who's bound to the Constitution? Those who took an oath to it is bound to the Constitution. So that means the states is bound to the constitutions and the public servants of the states are bound to the constitutions. Okay? That's what you have to know first. All right? So now that means they are bound to what's being said. So the 14th Amendment literally told and bound the actual states, right? They said basically, y'all can't make no more laws. Y'all can't make any laws that's going to take away the privileges or immunities of the citizens of the United States. All right. Now, what this did was they placed everything on the local levels too, right? State and local levels. It's what it did. Because now, nor shall the state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of laws. So if anybody is in this jurisdiction, you have the same equal protection of the law, which means you have the same right to due process of law. So it's still in your favor. Even if, it's no way around it. And this is what I love about the grace of God, man. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of the citizens of the United States. So now you get to use this in your favor against the state laws with due process of law. Okay? You got equal protection of the laws under due process of law that protects the life, liberty, and property. So that's fully afforded to you. Right? So it says the Congress shall have power to enforce by appropriate legislation the provisions of this article. So what did the Congress do to create what's going to enforce this? 42 USC 1983, which is what? Civil action for deprivation of rights. See, this is Congress legislating the enforcement to protect this, the 14th Amendment. So now they did the 42 U.S. Code 1983, civil action for deprivation of right. Every person who, under color of any statute, ordinance, regulation, custom, or usage of any state or territory of the District of Columbia, subjects or causes to be subject, any citizen of the United States or other person within the jurisdiction thereof, to the deprivation of any rights, privileges, or immunities secured by the Constitution and law, shall be liable to the party injured in an action at law, suit in equity, or other proper proceeding for redress, except that in any action brought against a judicial officer for an act or omission taken in such officer's judicial capacity, injunctive release shall not be granted unless a declaratory decree was violated or a declaratory release was unavailable. For the purpose of this section, any act of Congress applicable exclusively for the District of Columbia. So again, when these judges start operating against you, etc., then that's when you come into 42 USC 1983. And or you got 18 USC 242, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. 18 USC 242. Whoever, under color of any law, statute, ordinance, regulations, or custom, willfully subject any person in any state, territory, commonwealth, possession, or district to the deprivation of any rights, privileges, or immunities secured or protected by the Constitution or laws of the United States, or to different punishment, pains, or penalties on account of such person being an alien or by reason of his color or race than are prescribed for the punishment of citizens, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 1 year or both. And if bodily injury results from the acts committed in the violation in this section, if such acts include the use, attempted use, or threatened use of dangerous weapon, explosives, or fire, shall be fined under this title, imprisoned not more than 10 years, right? As well. So, and if death results from the acts committed in the violation of this section, or if such acts include kidnapping or an attempt to kidnap, aggravated sexual abuse, or any attempt to commit aggravated sexual abuse, or attempt to kill, shall be fined under this title. So, look, that's one, right? Mm-hmm. Conspiracy against rights is 241. So if two or more persons conspire to injure, oppress, threaten, or intimidate any person in any state, territory. So that means that if the officer, prosecutor, and the judge conspire against you and your rights, here you go. Hmm. I think that's it. Yeah. Also, 18 USC 247, damage to religious property, obstruction of person in the free exercise of religious belief. That happens a lot. So that's 18 USC 247. So my point is, the legislative law has already been created that is in harmony with the actual Constitution. Like I said, so a lot of people use the 14th Amendment in a bad light, but it also can be used in a great light if you understand due process of law. That's why due process of law is the key. So use it to your advantage. Well, they're the ones that took the oath. They're the ones that's bound to what is written here, right? So make sure you use it and understand how to use it, because that's how you hold them accountable. So if you want to hold a officer accountable, then you need to be suing them under the civil rights in the federal court, 42 USC 1983. And if you can prove that it's under other things, such as deprivation of rights under color of law, then you can also add 18 USC 242. And if you got more than one, a couple, or um, more than one person that's involved, then it could be a conspiracy against your right under 18 USC 241. So you would literally have to know how to bring your cause of action, excuse me, under that particular codes in a federal court, because you want to make sure your cause of action right. You can literally be right about everything that you're saying, but your cause of action can be wrong under what title, statutes, and code that you might have brought it under. And then you are going to literally be, case would be dismissed for failure to state a cause of action of which relief can be granted. And it just means that you brought it under the wrong situation, the wrong title. That's why due process is important. And that's everything to the letter of law. So that means I could use so let's say we use the 14th Amendment, okay, which is a federal question. And then we turn around and we bring the lawsuit under 42 USC 1983. We can also say 18 USC 241. And we can also say 18 USC 247. This has something to do with religious, and 18 USC 242. So literally, there could be charges brought up under all of these if you know what you are doing. So, and you have to make sure that you bring it in the court the right way, right? Absolutely. So, here's the deal for you guys tonight. All right. Tonight. All right. So, first thing I want you guys to do, if you're watching with us right now, I want everybody to literally, number one, send us an email at admin@ingodwetrustacademy.org. Again, admin@ingodwetrustacademy.org. And what this is going to do is, well, this is going to put you on our email list so we can add you to our upcoming work session, free classes that happens every Monday and Wednesday. So also have it for that. I want y'all to do that for us. It's also where you'll be able to get discounts, anything that we give away, templates, stuff like that. If you want to be added to the email, here you go. And be aware of our classes and anything else we got coming up. All right, now here goes another great part. We also got trust administration class coming in 11 days, July the 26th. We're going to do live streaming in person. If you can, you want to do live stream. I know that it says donation is 200. We're going to make it 125 for you tonight. And if you want to come in person, it's going to be 150 for you. We're going to be at Fort Walton Beach near Destin, Florida. If you know exactly where it's at, pull on up with us and have a great time with us. But right now, I want you to put admin in GodWeTrustAcademy.org. Send us an email and put discount. Okay. The trust administration class is literally going to be learning to administrate your trust if you have a trust, if you don't. But it's also going to be teaching you trust administration, what I mean by the Constitution, administrating the Constitution, administrating the civil rules and procedures and the criminal rules and procedures and everything else that I have talked to you about. It's all part of trust administration because this whole entire thing is trust. Every bit of it. So if you want to learn more about this is a great class. Also, there's going to be an asset protection ebook and class that goes along with this, as well as a private administration that goes along with this. So that's actually 3 classes in one that you can get for $125 today as well. Okay. But if you don't do anything else, just make sure that you do get added to our email list so you can be added to the, our free classes and stuff as well. We also got another class called the Hidden Ledger. This is about your bank deposits, being able to reclaim your bank deposits at the end of the year, but learning how to do it in a non-interest bearing account, moving with trust. And you can actually do this because it is part of fractional reserve banking, but you're going to be exercising by common law because if the bank uses the trust asset, then it has to compensate. Otherwise, it will be considered unjust enrichment, but you have to know how to literally administrate the trust in order to do this. So that's the reason why these 2 classes are back-to-back hidden. We're going to be actually in Missouri, Texas. Same thing here, 125 for the live stream, in person, 150. If you don't do anything else, send us an email here, admin@godwetrustacademy.org. And also just make sure you lock in with us wherever platform that you're watching from right now. And just know that we're on here all the time, dropping jewels, showing y'all different things. And we're just real excited about meeting the new people. So if you're new to this, welcome, man. This is something we do a lot, all the time. We're always here. So I'll catch you guys about 9 a.m., 10 a.m. But yes, go ahead. Lock in with us now. Send us what you need, and we'll have you guys ready. All right. So remember, it's 3 classes here. It's also going to be 3 classes for this one. This is Hidden Ledger. You're also going to get the Declaration of Trust class, as well as the Building the Kingdom class, which is it's a 508, teaching you how to build your own 508 to the fullest from start to scratch. Now, here's the thing about me. If you're new with me, guys, I don't hold back. I give you everything. It's totally up to you. You do what you want to. I don't believe in gatekeeping. I'm not a hater. I don't care. I just feel like, here, it's yours. Because I feel like you the one got to do the work. You the one got to do everything. Even though I showed you everything, I made it simpler for you, pointed out the law. And I believe totally, I know for a fact, if they can't point it out with the law, it does not exist. And that's how we always stay within our remedy, because we can prove everything by law. That's the only way to operate. Due process of law. Learn the letter of law. Know your position and what you are in. Everybody is here in America should know their constitution, the state constitution, as well as the U.S. Constitution. And just know where you're at and be in self-awareness, especially if you're the head of the household. That's your duty to know so. You have to be able to know. I just literally watching a kid right now going through some crazy shit because of people fail to know the law about a lot of stuff. So in order to change that is because we have to be more informed of ourselves, informed our children on making great decisions, and letting them know the consequences that could happen, even though things seem normal. And they talk about shit in rap music and all of that type of stuff. Listen, some of that stuff that they say, you get caught, your ass going to jail. That's a fact. And it could be something that you think that's normal. It's not. It's really not, right? So lock in with us, man. Also, go to our website, ingodwetrustacademy.com. Again, ingodwetrustacademy.com. We got all kind of services and class there as well that you guys can be a part of. Also, Check us out on other channels as well. Platform in God We Trust Academy.com. And yeah, there's plenty of classes there for you to watch. Also, check me out on the book, Eric Ingram Bay. Again, EricIngrambey, Eric Ingram Bay. I have a check mark beside my name. There's plenty of videos there too as well. So appreciate y'all, man. It's been nothing but love tonight. Make sure you get your discounts and also referrals too. If you refer anybody, do let me know, and I'll also get to you a free ebook of your choice off my website for your referrals. So appreciate y'all. Y'all have a great night. I am out of